Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Jacqueline, and today's video is going to be my most anticipated releases for 2019. I know I'm like super far behind in this video. This is February, but I still wanted to tell you all my most anticipated releases because there's so many books that I'm like super excited for, and I know that a few on this list that I have actually already came out in January, but I still like haven't even been able to pick them up and read them. So I wanted to make this list so that way it's like my most excited books that I want to read, and then hopefully at the end of the year I can look back and see if I actually read these. I have 17 books on this list, and most of them are like mystery thrillers. There are a few like nonfiction books and a couple cookbooks as well that I'm super excited to check out this year. So I'm going to just go ahead and go in order of when they're actually being released. It's not the order that I want to read them in necessarily. So we're going to start out with number 1, The Night Olivia Fell by Christina McDonald. This book actually is already out, and my sister-in-law Lindsay actually is already reading it. She's almost finished with it, and she says that it's absolutely amazing. It's about this mother who gets a phone call in the middle of the night about her teenage daughter like falling off a bridge, and her daughter has to stay on life support and also is pregnant. And so it goes through this whole story. I guess it looks like she has bruises and might have been abused, but a lot of people have said that this like book has made them cry, and it was just such like a tearjerker emotional like thriller book. So I'm super excited to read this one, and I should be reading it fairly soon. Next up is The Waning Age by S.C. Grove. This also is already released, and I'm hoping to get my hands on a copy very shortly. This one is like a dystopian novel, so it deals with these children that actually like wane at a certain age. So by the time they've reached their teen years, they kind of like can't feel emotion anymore. I guess the 11-year-old brother that's in this story actually realizes that he can feel emotion and he isn't waning, and so I feel like there's going to be this like kidnapping thing and figuring out why this kid, it's almost like Divergent, I guess this kid is divergent technically and isn't actually waning like everyone else. So I do like a good dystopian novel, and I'm really hoping that it's good and not too much government in it, because I don't like government driven or politically driven dystopian novels. So we'll see how it goes. Now the third book on my list is The Similars by Rebecca Hanover, and this is again like a dystopian novel. This book is also already out. I just haven't gotten my hands on a copy. This book is about, I guess, this prestigious school that's filled with clones, and this one girl, I guess the clones are like the clone of her like dead best friend or something like that. It seems a little YA, so we'll have to see how it goes. Now next up on the list is Before She Knew Him by Peter Swanson. I actually am currently reading my first Peter Swanson book. I'm reading The Kind Worth Killing, and I actually am really enjoying it, so I want to read more Peter Swanson. This book is coming out March 5th, so I shouldn't have to wait too long, and I'm super excited to read it. So this one is about a wife that I guess is psychologically like disabled or has like, I don't know, some problems, and she realizes that her neighbor might actually be this killer that she like not fantasizes, but like just thinks about all the time, about this murder that happened a couple years ago. And so it goes through this whole story, I guess, about whether or not the guy is the killer or like if the wife is crazy. So we'll have to see about this. Next up on the list, and it also comes out March 5th, is Call Me Evie by J.P. Pomar. So this one is about a 17-year-old that gets abducted and literally is living in this cabin in the middle of nowhere. The synopsis had said that people that like the book Room would really like this book, and I actually did think that Room was pretty crazy, since it was about like this mom that has this little boy, and they were literally like raised in this like room for years, and it was just so incredibly crazy like how creative they had to be to not literally go insane. So I guess this book, Call Me Evie, really deals with just how your memory, like if you don't remember, like I guess she kind of remembers that she came from like a big suburban like house and had a great life, but the way that this guy that kidnapped her like is telling her she's having a really hard time like grasping those actual real memories. And so I'm super looking forward to this one. Like I definitely am gonna have to say like this is one of the ones I am most excited for. Next up on the list that comes out March 12th is Girl Stop Apologizing, and this is by Rachel Hollis. I actually read her other book, Girl Wash Your Face, which I really, really liked. It's like a nonfiction self-help type of book, and so I just really felt like I could relate to her. I really loved her writing style, and so this one again is just going to be like how to like hit your goals and be successful in life and stuff like that. So I'm super excited about this. Coming out March 19th is Inspection by Josh Mallerman, and I read his book Bird Box, and literally it was one of the best books I read in 2018. It was so incredibly good. His new book Inspection is coming out, and I'm super excited. I hope that it's really good. It's about this I guess there's like a boys' school and a girls' school, and neither one knows that the other is like, boys only think that there's boys in the world and girls only think that there are girls in the world, and then finally like some of them meet, and so it's kind of, I guess, like a dystopian novel. But I'm super excited about that because I really, really hope, like, I just loved his writing style in Bird Box, and I loved the whole concept. So I hope it's going to be the same way. Coming out March 26th is My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. And this book is, I guess, like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith book where like the husband and the wife become murderers for fun because they're bored in their lives. It also kind of reminds me of the show Good Girls, because like this book, it says like, oh, they're just a normal couple. Like no one would ever think that they're murderers. And I feel like the show Good Girls is kind of like that, where it's like, oh, they're just moms. Like no one would ever think they're drug dealers. And so if it's anything like that, I know that I'm gonna really like this book. Next up on the list is the first cookbook that I'm waiting on, and it's Leanne Vogel's The Keto Diet Cookbook. This comes out April 9th, and I am so excited. I am just so incredibly excited. Leanne Vogel is the like first person that I had ever bought a keto cookbook from, and her first cookbook, The Keto Diet, like is what I used to start getting into keto like 2 years ago. I love it so much because she literally talks about keto for women specifically and how it's different than just keto for men and how to deal with your hormones and all that kind of stuff. So I'm super excited for her cookbook. She says it's going to be even way better than her first book, so I literally cannot wait. And number 10 on the list is The Wolf Hunter River by Rachel Kane. This comes out April 23rd, and I am so excited because this is the third book and final book, I believe, in the Stillhouse Lake series, which has been one of the only series I have ever like read and finished in my life, and also part of one of my favorite books of 2018. I read Stillhouse Lake back in December, I believe, and then I read her second one, which was Kilman Creek. I read that in January, and now this third one's about to come out, and I literally cannot wait because this whole series is about this like psychopath serial killer husband guy that literally will not leave his wife alone, and like it literally, like my mind is so blown, and I literally get so anxious reading these books because I feel like I'm the wife, and I feel like my psychopath serial killer husband is like stalking me all day long, and it is pretty crazy. I highly suggest that you read this series and get excited about this third book coming out. Ah, my legs. Another book that's being released on April 23rd is I Know Who You Are by Alice Feeney. Now, I read her debut novel, Sometimes I Lie, and I loved it. Again, it was another favorite of 2018, and I cannot wait to read her new book. I've literally been trying to win it on Goodreads giveaways, and I just have not been able to win it, and I hope that I can get a copy very soon once it comes out. This is a story of Amy, who I guess realizes that her husband like isn't at home. He left his wallet, and so she wakes up the next day, goes out for coffee, realizes that $10,000 has been taken out of her account, so she thinks it's her husband that left her, and so she calls the bank, and they say, no, actually you took this money out of the account, and so I guess some crazy things are gonna happen, and we don't know if Amy's crazy or if something's happening or what's going on. I really love the way that like Alice Feeney like wrote her first book, and the twist, I was very like caught off guard. So if this book is anything similar, it's probably gonna be on my favorites list for 2019. Now Blake Crouch is coming out with a new book, Recursion, and I believe it's coming out June 11th. A few years ago, I read his book Dark Matter, which is like a sci-fi book with like thriller elements, and I am like a light sci-fi fan, and I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed this book, and I had a bunch of friends in my book club read it, and they really enjoyed it, so I'm super excited for his new book. So I guess a bunch of these people are falling asleep and waking up, and they're like somebody else. The like first line of the synopsis says like, what would happen if someone could rewrite your life? I just really like Blake Crouch's books because like his book Dark Matter really made me think about like what would happen if something like this like actually happened, and I feel like this book's gonna be the same, so I am so stoked. Another release on June 11th is The First Mistake by Sandy Jones. I actually just finished her book The Other Woman. So many people had been talking about it, and I was able to finish it just actually last week, a couple days ago, and I actually really enjoyed it, so I'm very much looking forward to this book. The synopsis is like very vague, so I really don't know what it's about other than like a husband and a wife and a best friend, and that's about it. Like, I really don't know what this book is about, but it's fine. I'll still read it. Now, Riley Sager's new book is coming out July 2nd, and it's Lock Every Door. I'm super excited, and I love the cover of it so much. Riley Sager has easily become one of my favorite authors after reading his book Final Girls and The Last Time I Lied. Both of those were amazing, so I'm really looking forward to this new book. So this girl named Jules becomes an apartment sitter at this like mysterious apartment building in Manhattan, and I guess there's a bunch of rules, and she doesn't like think twice about the rules. She's just like, okay, whatever, and then people start disappearing and things start happening. So sounds like, I don't know, sometimes all thriller books sound the same. Now, the other keto cookbook that I'm excited for is Dairy Free Keto by Kendra Holly, and this releases July 16th. I'm super excited because her first book, Craveable Keto, has amazing recipes. They're just very heavy with dairy, and so I'm really looking forward to her dairy-free versions of recipes. She also says she's not a big fan of like coconut and coconut milk, and so I'm hoping that her like cookbook isn't gonna have a lot of coconut and coconut milk stuff, because I'm also not a big fan of those, but I'm super excited. Coming out July 23rd is A Stranger on the Beach by Michelle Campbell. I've actually read 2 other Michelle Campbell books, and I really enjoy her writing style. Her books are like, it's not like they have the best like twists and turns, like sometimes they're predictable, but her writing style is just so easy to read, and I usually really like her characters. Like, I feel like I just have more connections with her characters in the storyline than normal in thrillers, and so I am very excited for her new book. I guess there's this stranger outside of this lady's house, and he becomes like infatuated with her in her life. So it's like a stalker story. And then last but not least, number 17 is B.A. Paris's new book. B.A. Paris is one of my favorite authors, although I feel like her book Behind Closed Doors has been the absolute best of all her books, but it says on Goodreads that she's supposed to have another book coming out this year. There's no title that I know of and no cover and synopsis that I know of, but I'm excited because if she releases another book, I'm definitely going to be reading it. So that is all for my most anticipated reads. It seems like a lot of them are coming out by July, so if there's more books that come out for the second half of 2019 and I want to read them, then I will definitely make another video updating you guys on the second half and more books that I want to read, or more books that I'm anticipated for releases. But for now, that's all the books that I have on my list, and hopefully I can get to all of them this year. Anyway, if you're excited about any of these books, let me know down in the comments, because I would love to hear, especially if you think that there's a book that I would really enjoy. Let me know, because sometimes I just spend way too many hours like looking at books and not reading books, and I just love knowing about more books to read. I don't know, I have this problem. But I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye everyone.